就是说我们今天很高兴，就是说，大家那么多人来参与那今天为什么会有这样的一个演讲的机会？其实是在穿越正义的这个展览跟北艺大博班平台的一个合作。那我在想，就是说我们在穿越正义里面，其实有邀请到 Antje 的作品。那在邀请这个作品的过程里面，其实Antje Ehmann其实对我们的协助非常的大，而且我在想这里面的意义也不只是协助，因为其实他现在是 Antje 的展览最重要的一位策展人。那我在想今天能够有这个机会找他来谈，就是说他们的工作的一个经验跟想法。在这里面，其实我在想，我们不应该只聚焦在 Antje。我们有这个机会能够跟Antje Ehmann见面，因为Antje Ehmann其实他同时是 Antje 非常非常重要的一个合作伙伴。然后他跟 Antje 也在发展一个很重要的计划，就是单镜头下的劳动者。那就是说，所以我在想，就是说，今天我们在听这一个演说，其实大家可以有非常多层次的一个介入跟想象。就是说，当然，有一个层次，它是跟展览有关，里面有Antje的作品。然后Antje它如何从技术的层面、影像的层面去思考，我们就是说是在怎么样的一个思考架构底下。在面对这个世界，然后另外一个层面是，就是说我们可能要更复杂的去看每一个艺术家他发展的脉络。那我在想，今天Antje Ehmann在这边其实又会带出另外一个面向。那这个可能就会涉及到第三层，也就是在创作上的合作。以及计划的推展，其实我们到底如何来理解这样的一个合作关系，以及每一个个体、每一个独立的艺术家在这个合作关系里面延伸出来的方法跟观点。那所以我会希望就是说，大家能够利用这个时机，然后来听Antje跟我们分享，然后。另外一个，你们也可以更踊跃的跟他有一些交流。那在这边我也稍微摆了一些参考的出版，然后你们其实待会有时间也可以来稍微看一下。那我就先不讲太多就先把那个今天的时间交给。Antje Ehmann， 然后以及今天其实有一位非常专业的人来协助我们进行翻译。那我们先欢迎他。
Hello. Do we really need this?
要麦克风吗？
Is it on?
Yes.
Okay. So, hello, and thank you very much for your introduction.
And
thank you very much for inviting me. I think I would like to start by showing you a 1-minute film, which is like the most important reference for the whole project.
然后先放1分钟的影片，是一个很重要的参考资料，大家参考。
So I guess most of you will know the film we just saw. It's from the Lumière Brothers, Workers Leaving the Factory. It's
大家可能知道，我刚放的那个是卢米埃兄弟他们很知名的一个片段，叫做《离开工厂的工人》。
It's supposed to be the first film in film history. That is not really true because it's the first film in film history that was presented for money.
当时有人说这个是历史上第一部电影可是其实不完全正确，应该说它是第一部有赚钱的影片。
So of course there were at the same time others experimenting with this new medium, but this is supposed to be the first publicly presented film.
但当时电影是一个新的媒介，所以有很多人在用这个媒介来做实验跟尝试。那这是第一个前几支首部公开的一个作品。
There are some strange things about this film. It's called Workers Leaving the Factory, but when you look at the workers, they wear Sunday clothes.
这个片很奇妙的是，它叫做离开工厂的工人，可是你看到他们穿的其实是休闲的服装。
And you can also feel that it's highly inscenated. It's not pure documentary. You can feel there's somebody who says, "Okay, now open the door, now come out, and close the door."
大家应该看得出来，它其实是有下指令的，不是一个纪录片。看得出来是有人说好开门、开拍、关门，是有指令在里面。
And then this place is a factory, but you don't even have a sign saying it's a factory that produces photo paper for photographs. That's interesting. But it could be any door. It's not very specific.
所以虽然是说是工厂，可是没有看到任何的招牌。你不讲的话，其实不知道它是一个做相片纸的工厂，就是它可能是任何一个工厂。
But what I think is really interesting, there's a kind of satisfaction, a satisfactory moment, because it's almost structural. Something opens, the frame stays put, you don't zoom or anything, and then the build fills, and then it's empty.
但是看起来却还蛮有特殊的效果，看起来就是它的很工整，你看出来它定在那个门的地方，然后有人员的流动。最后呢，门关上就停了下来。
And this is something to do, therefore I'm introducing this film because our project is called Labor in a Single Shot.
介绍这部片是因为我们这个计划叫做单镜头下的劳动者是有关联的。
It is about work, like workers leaving the factory in a single shot, meaning you cannot cut, no montage.
因为他也讲到劳动，讲到工作，就像是刚才离开工厂的工人一样。那 single shot 就是一镜到底，也就是没有经过剪接的意思。
And this format, of course, comes from the old days when the Lumières filmed. The cameras were very heavy, so you couldn't flip around like nowadays with our mobiles, and therefore also mostly there were static shots. Sometimes there were also these phantom lights. They put a camera on a train and then you have a moving image, but it's mostly static.
那当时卢米安他们那个时候摄影机非常的笨重，所以几乎都是定点的定镜头的拍摄，就像是我们现在手机可以换来很多创意的拍摄方式。那加上当时除了定镜头拍摄以外，可能是加上轨道，也是一种移动的方式。
So when we made this project, it's a bit weird because in times of video, we started to think let's work with video but pretend as if it is film. Meaning also, like at the Lumières, film is expensive. Like every second you play the record costs. And nowadays we can erase and make it new. And
这个计划当时的一个想法是，我们现在虽然有很方便的数位录像，可是我们把它当做底片在拍摄。在卢米埃那个时代，底片是非常贵的，所以每一秒其实都在烧钱。那我们现在却可以有很多实验跟尝试，随便就可以删除啊、重录啊等等。
So this is a little bit the background for the specific format. We made this labor in a single shot without cut, and then we added this to the set of rules. It cannot longer be longer than 2 minutes.
那我们这个计划还有设定，除了要拍一镜到底可以剪接以外呢，也片长有设定都可以超过2分钟。
In the early days, it was more like one film roll in the camera was 45 seconds, but it would be stupid nowadays to make this 45 seconds because it's too short. So we decided on 2 minutes.
以前底片一卷其实拍下来是45秒而已，可是现在如果我们规定45秒是有点太呆板、太制式，因为45秒真的有点太短，所以我们是设定2分钟。
Okay, now I can explain the project, or are there already questions or something?
在开始介绍这个计划之前，有人想要先提出来的提问？可以先开始。
I continue. Yeah, maybe now I go back another step why we did this. It's a bit crazy, this project. It was over 4 years in 15 cities on every continent in this world. So, this had something to do. Harun used to be a professor in Vienna at the Academy of Fine Arts. And the moment he retired, we thought, okay, now there's more time. Because he didn't have to go to Vienna to teach all the time. And the situation was also like we got so many invitations all the time. Like here now there's a museum, they want to show something, and then they want him or me or us to say something. And it's kind of weird to have all these long distance travels just for one presentation or one handshake. And we thought, okay, we say yes to all those invitations, but we will have our own project.
所以这个计划起初是我跟父母合作嘛，父母他是本来是在维也纳，也就是奥地利的美术学院教书，那他后来退休了。那这期间呢，其实他会或者是我们都会接到很多的不同的邀请。那这个计划其实是耗时了4年的时间，在全世界各个大洲，总共15个城市都有合作到的一个计划，这是一个有点疯狂的计划。那他退休以外，我们有时候会收到邀请，比如说今天也是这样很好的一个机会，或者是一些美术馆邀请要去展出啊，或者是去谈话，有的时候只是去做一个简报或介绍。我们觉得我们应该也要有一个自己的计划，所以才开始这样子的计划产生。
So we made a rough, like we just started by contacting different people, places in the world, and then we came up with the idea, okay, it should be 15. There's no logic, it's just a feeling, 15 is okay.
我们就开始联络世界各地知道的窗口朋友，那最后就设定了15个城市这个数字，背后没有什么特别的原因或逻辑。
We started already with like 3 workshops, but then we contacted because we need the planning. For example, the Goethe Institute in Rio de Janeiro. We saw our list and said, okay, I'm in, but you will never succeed.
那我们有很多不同的，我们一开始先办了3场工作坊，然后来接触到里约热内卢的歌德学院的时候，他们就看到我们的名单，他们就说 ，OK， 我会加入你的计划，可是我觉得这计划不会成功。
Yeah, and now until today it's 17 workshops and it goes on and on.
那到现在我们已经办了17场的讲座活动，而且还持续的继续下去。
Here, can you see that?
因为大家看得到。
Yeah. So we did workshops in Bangalore, Berlin, Boston, Buenos Aires, Cairo, Hangzhou, Geneva, Hanoi, Johannesburg, Lisbon, Lodz, Mexico City, Moscow, Rio de Janeiro, Tel-Aviv.
我们这边看到这么多个城市都是我们去过的，那这些包括了孟加拉，还有柏林啊、波士，还有布宜诺斯艾利斯、开罗、杭州、日内瓦等等，这些上面呈现出来的都是我们去过的城市。
And after Harun passed away, I was not able to do it anymore. I stopped for 4 years, but now I started again. And these are 3 cities.
那Harun过世之后，我有一段时间没有办法继续的创作，所以中间停了一段时间。那后来17年以后又继续。
And maybe now we should start watching some stuff.
现在放一些作品大家看。
I don't need the lights. Oh. Maybe one quick word that you understand. So here you have one page with the city in question, like here it's Bangalore, India, and we also had to research somebody who researched statistical data, because it's important that you have parameter to compare conditions, different conditions in the world, of course.
像我们这边可以看到是印度的班加罗尔，那我们有一些数据的资料，首先点进来的时候可以呈现出来，因为我们还是有一些数据的资料可以做比对，让大家可以去比对不同的城市之间，有一个参考的基准。
I mean, we don't necessarily believe in statistics or this kind of objective truth, and we also played a little bit. We also have invented categories. You usually don't have like protest movements and social workers engagements and.
那我们当然不是笃信所谓的数字或者是事实那些数字数据的人，所以我们这边呈现的数字有时候有点戏谑，我们还加入了比如说这个城市的抗议次数啊，或者说社会参与的人数，有一些比较有趣的数字，我们把它加入到这里。
And then we collaborated with another artist. He developed for us these city logos. So every city, they looked at all the films we did, they looked at all the statistical data, and then they came up with a proposition for a city logo, and they are also all very political and partly fun.
也跟艺术家合作，像左下角看到的那个图一样，都是艺术家产出的。那他们的接触到的素材媒材呢，是我们拍摄的这些影片，还有这些数字。他们看完以后有一些发想，就做出了这个具有很多蛮有政治意味的一个作品。那有时候也蛮戏谑或者蛮有趣的。
So this is a film somebody made in Rio de Janeiro, in Brazil. And for me, this is a really, really great example that these limitations, our rules, are not really limitations, but enrich something. They can really make something even more rich then. You don't take something that you enable something.
这个影片来自巴西的里约热内卢这个地方，我们觉得很棒的是，我们设定了一些限制，可是没想到这个限制却是赋予了更多的能力，让这些创作者他们能够来说故事或者有所创发跟呈现，那是我们一开始没有设想到的。
And I don't know how it was for you, but in this example, 2 minutes seem to be really long. Huh? This is when you look at several of those films. These 2 minutes, sometimes they are so short and sometimes they are so long. It's very interesting. Like when you look at all these layers, it's 2 minutes.
不知道大家感觉如何？因为我们设定2分钟，可是有的2分钟片段让你感觉很长。像这个，也许大家觉得很长嘛。那有的2分钟就觉得倏忽即逝，一下就过去了。不知道大家觉得这个2分钟怎么样？
So then the other aspect is the one shot, and in this case it's a static one shot without movement or zooming.
像是这个例子的话，是没有拉近拉远的，它是定焦在那边拍摄的。
I mean, it was allowed to move the camera, but the project, I think, most of the filmmakers and artists wanted to work with the static shot, like he did.
以我们的设定来说，其实你是可以移动镜头的，但是大部分的艺术创作者他们都会想要用这样静态的方式来呈现。遇到。
And I think this was a very intelligent decision of him, because it is like a bet. Will he come in the image again? Will we see him again? What is he even doing there? It's a game between the camera not moving and the guy doing his work.
我觉得这是一个蛮聪明的创作决定啊，因为这个创作者他在拍摄的时候镜头是定的，所以我们反而是看到镜中的影中人，他会移动出镜头再回来，那像是一个游戏一样，我们不确定他什么时候回到镜头中，什么时候又回去，那他到底在做什么，都让我们很好奇。
So I think this film wouldn't have worked if he would have followed him with the camera.
我觉得这部片，如果你镜头是跟着这个劳动者的话，反而不会那么好。
And I think this is also such a successful example of the projects. Like how complex can you have one image? Because there were 3 layers. In the background, you see the skyline, and you see this is not the sea but a big city.
同时，我们也看到这个创作的，它是当做一个成功的案例啊。因为2分钟里面，可是你看到3个层次。第一层是看到后面城市的天际线，也就是让观看者知道，哦，这不是在海边，而是在大城市里。
So in the background, the city. In the middle, you have this water, and it's also clear this is not the big sea. It's actually a very polluted cloac.
那中景的话，我们看到的是一大片的水域，也很明确它不是海边，而是其实有点脏污的城市里面的水。
And in the foreground, you have this people doing jogging and on the bike. So you have the big city, the fucked up nature, and people doing leisure sports.
那在前景看到的却是一个休闲的活动，就是在跑步的人。所以你看到整个城市，会看到劳动的人在中间一个比较脏污的环境，会看到前景是休闲的运动。
And then this poor fisher has his clothes is a garbage, like this green garbage sack.
那我们也看到这个劳动者，他穿的好像是在处理垃圾处理或者是脏污处理这样子的衣服在身上。
Another thing you can imagine, this was something the filmmaker artist who did this, he just found it while walking.
那另外一个补充给大家的是，这个创作者他其实就是在走路走到一半就发现了这个场景，他就觉得想要拍摄这样。
And this is also the nice thing about this project. If you do something, you walk through the city looking at what kind of work is visible. You see so much more.
这也是我们计划想要大家做的，就是你在城市里面走动的时候，你可能会有意无意的观察到许多的劳动者。那你想要观察的东西，你有这个焦点以后，你会发现其实有更多我们以前没有 面来发生。
So sometimes it happens that very suddenly, spontaneously, little films like this one were produced one day to the next.
所以有时候我们就会收到非常随性的，像是这一部这样子随性观察而发生创作的短片。
But technically speaking, the big problem is when you do something like this, while you are walking, you don't have a tripod, you don't have an extra sound. So this sound was so bad we had, in post-production, we had to build it completely new. So the sound is completely artificial.
但这样子的创作方式会遇到的问题，就是你可能没有脚架，你也没有好的收音。所以像这个短片的例子的话呢，它的音质其实非常的差。所以我们刚刚听到的声音其实是后置之后，把原来声音完全去掉的，是人工后置的声音，不是当时收的声音。
Just to talk not only theoretical but very practical. There are many practical aspects also in this project.
因为我们不想只是讲理论，就实物面上的话会遇到这样子的问题，有很多的细节可以再看再讨论。
So here we have another connection to the early film and also silent film, even though there is sound, because this is almost like classical slapstick early film. Like, I don't know, do you remember this slapstick thing where there's a gardener and somebody stops the water and then it goes, I forgot, it's a famous silent early film slapstick.
所以虽然说这个是一个有声的影片，可它跟早期那些默片有一些很巧妙的呼应啊。但是有一部不知道大家有没有看过，有一个园丁，他就是硬指在那边，然后他就一甩，那是一个默片，比较早期的默片，忘记片名了。但是跟这个有异曲同工之妙，这个虽然是有声的影片，他们的呈现方式很有趣的雷同或吻合。
And here we also have this thing that you can see in silent film with the on and off. What is in the on, what is in the off. This is such a crucial thing with the image and film. I think the whole thing wouldn't be so funny if the baby's accident would be in the on, but it was in the off, and then you just hear her crying. But before, the babysitter made this funny, like, what? Also in a silent early film is exaggerated gestures.
很有趣的是，如果就是影像的创作，我们有一个镜头嘛，那镜头内跟镜头外发生的事情，其实也是一种安排的创作。像是这边，如果那个宝宝他跌伤是发生在镜头内的话，可能就不会那么有趣。那另外一个刚好有趣的是，那个宝宝在中间，他动作很夸张的时候，刚好也很像我们早期默片里面那些夸大的 动作跟机器，就是刚好有这个雷同度。
And then this is more like a political thing. In Brazil, there are many white people, and they hire dark-skinned people to look for the kids. It's kind of class thing still. So if you ask yourself, what's the work here? Of course, it's the work of the nanny.
那讲到工作，你说这边哪里有劳动者？这边其实有一个跟有点政治有关的事情，就是说巴西这边很多的看护或者是带小朋友的保姆，他们是深肤色的人口，所以说这边可以看到深肤色的就是带白人的小孩，那一位当然就是劳动者，就是这个作品的劳动。
So this is just because I said that this is one interesting thing was to compare conditions in different, also power relations. You can see in those films, it's another entry into, it's an archive now, and so you can have different entries and questions what to do with this archive.
所以说这里面虽然是一个2分钟的影像作品，但你可以看到阶级。看到权力的关系在里面呈现出来，因为你也说这是一个典藏资料，所以从这个典藏资料里面，你也可以去分析，看到当代的很多不同的元素在里面。
Are there by now probably questions or something you did not get yet? Or I forgot something to explain?
有没有任何提问？我们现在也可以都整理一下。
The work is produced by your participant or what the video that you designed?
Yeah, that's good that you ask. This is highly cooperative, this project. Like Harun and I conducted these workshops almost always together with the Goethe Institutes. You know, Goethe in Germany, without that we wouldn't be alive.
刚才的提问是说，这是哪些人的创作是合伙的创作、合作的创作？那这些都是，的确是我们合作的创作，就是其他人投过来的。那我跟韩凤一直都是用合作的形式，我们也密切的跟歌德学院合作。那如果歌德学院没有支持我们的话，我们可能活不下去。
And we preferred it most of the time to make an open call. So we did not approach one single film school or art school because for this project, diversity was so important.
那我们算是公开征件，不是只是单独跟几个特定的学院或者是机构合作，因为我们觉得这个公开招募，我们希望多元性是非常重要的。
And it was also not only for young artists or filmmakers. We were very happy also to have older and experienced ones.
我们也不限制年纪，所以不管是资深或者是年轻的创作者，我们都欢迎。
Because this is also very, very much research-based to find out what kind of work situations is in a city. So it's good to have different people from different backgrounds, different age.
因为这个计划也蛮有研究精神的，所以其实我们越广，来自不同层面、不同背景的人来参与是越好的。
So the more knowledge is in the room, better.
所以越多大家的才思啊，或大家不同的专业知识集合在一起越好。
So to answer your question, all the films were done by participants of these workshops, either filmmakers or artists.
所以说是我们这个工作坊参与者共同创造出来的，他们可能是电影相关的制作人，或者是艺术家都有。
But we really produced them in the group. For example, we never had single audiences that one comes to us and shows us material. We all watched everything together and discussed everything together. So I think this is the kind of gives the quality. I'm sure about this.
我们用团体的方式进行，就是不是说一个人带着作品来呈现给我们看，然后单一的方式，而是大家一群人一起看，一起给一些想法来回馈。我觉得这样子会对于品质比较有帮助。
So I can show you, for example, an example from India where sometimes they also shot in groups. And I think it was 3 girls, they went like 6 times to one place and they tried again and again to get it right. And we discussed it in the group. I show you as an example.
等一下可以给大家看一个印度的例子哦。那组就是3个女生，她们去同一个地方拍了6次。那她们拍了回来之后，有跟我们讨论，再决定要怎么拍等等。所以等一下可以放给大家看。
Probably you can imagine how difficult it was to achieve this, the dramaturgy of it.
大家应该可以想象，要完成这样子的画面是有多困难的。
Harun and I, we had this thing of close reading and close description, and I tried to make a close description of this video. I needed 1 page, like in the computer that I read.
我跟哈共的合作方式，我们其实会写一个1页以内的简短描述，来描述这些作品的东西。那我那个时候想要尽量想办法简短，就没办法在1页里面把它写完。
So it starts with this psychedelic image of something rotating. It looks almost like modern abstract art or something.
一开始其实根本看不出来他是在做什么，甚至看起来像现代的抽象艺术。
Then he takes out the clothes and the camera slowly zooms out from the foreground to the background. And then you see there are other people dealing with clothes, and now obviously it's a washing thing.
直到这个物件被取出之后，从前景带到了后景，才看出哦，原来有人在处理衣物，可以看出来这个衣物处理的地方有工厂，很明显就是这样子的工作劳动场景。
So slowly the camera reveals the whole scenario, but then comes back to focus on the guy in the foreground.
在带完整个场景大概的情况之后呢，焦点又回到了前景的这位男士。
And he is now putting in the second set of clothing and fills it, activates the old-fashioned machine, and the video ends that you see the water. It's very beautiful, like when the water drips away.
后来呢，他又把第2批的衣服放到这个很传统的这个算烘干机吧，或者脱干机。那我们看到它的操作，旁边的水很自然的流泻出来。那最后画面是停在这个衣物的旋转，是非常漂亮的。
for me it's almost like a proof. It's like, see, this is a drying machine. Here's the water now going away.
我们看到那个水，其实就知道原来它是一台烘干机。
And then, of course, this is all a competition with time, because this is exactly 2 minutes, not 1 second less or more, and it was a question of how quick the guy was to do all this to get it in 2 minutes. Therefore, sometimes they just didn't succeed.
那刚好我们有一个2分钟的时间限制，所以变成说这个操作员他的操作速度也很重要。最后是2分钟拍出来不少1秒，也不多1秒，刚刚好。所以你就知道他们应该拍了蛮多次，才有办法刚好达成这样子的速度跟水准。
So maybe this already can give you an impression how interesting it is, for example, only to analyze the camera work. Like we had now 2 examples with static images, and we could see that it makes very much sense to have static, but here you can see that a beautifully thought through camera movement is also fantastic.
所以我们已经看到2种不同类型的拍摄，定镜的拍摄，还有这个有镜头移动的拍摄。那光是解析这样的镜头语言跟操作就非常有意思了。那我们看到2种呈现很不一样的效果。
More questions right now, probably.
那其他的？
我想问一个问题啊，就是说，其实这个计划，似乎跟Fraudy之前的计划其实不一样，因为在 Harvard 过去的计划里面，其实有非常多，其实它都是用了其他的资料库，或者甚至直接来自于机器的影像。那当你们在构思这个计划的时候，其实变成了让其他的人去拿摄影机。那这个对你们来讲，在当时的思考上有什么样的不一样的想
法？I see what you mean, but the films you mean that are so different when Harun consults archives, this belongs more to his filmography, film work. This I would put in your educational context, and this is more like the prolongation from teaching, because we invented this project right, as I said, after he stopped teaching. So, is this an answer probably?
知道您的意思哦，就是说之前那些用一些比较资料影像的那个比较偏向是影像资料的计划，可是这个比较偏向有一点教育性质的，因为刚好当时是哈布他离开学校。那这个当做他的一种教育事业的一个延续吧，可以这样说。那这个计划其实更有带有一些教育意味在里面，有这样的差异。
And then, finally, enough you can approach it from both sides. Arun loved archives, loved found footage, loved to work with already existing images. And what we did here is we created an archive. So just we didn't use one, but we produced one. It's 2 sides of the same thing, maybe.
对，虽然说好像不是在做那些影像资料或档案资料，可是我们现在是不是又创造出了另外一个档案库？所以有可能可以说是一体两面吧，就是看你要怎么看这个事情。
因为这个可能也是刚好我会想问的，因为在1975到1976的时候，其实哈伦就在思考一个影像的 library 跟或 archive library 的事情。这个计划，那其实这个计划就跟其实今天的这个计划，其实在这个想法上面，其实就有非常大的差异性。是，那你刚刚回应的就是说，其实变成你们在 create archive，那我在想，其实这个转变其实还非常重要。
Yeah, I see what you mean. It's a bit difficult to explain because all these things have to do with production possibilities or impossibilities.
好回应哦。我想想看应该怎么说，应该说这个东西牵涉到的是影片拍摄或制成的可能性跟不可能性。
I think this what ought to be done, this idea from the 70s, is very much related to the crisis we had in television, for example. Television, like the quality of television was going down, and the possibilities to earn money for working for television was also becoming more and more problematic.
那像刚老师提到70年代的那个 What Ought to Be Done 这个计划，其实跟当时时代背景有关。当时的电视节目的品质下降了，所以其实也连带的影响到这些从业人员他们的生计或者他们去制作节目的一些挑战。那当时那个计划是因为这样应运而生。
So it's such a project idea is already a critique, an institutional critique of what is around, and the idea we have to find our own thing. We have to found our own schools or institutes, and also this idea not me alone, but we have to cooperate like all people who like to produce images. We should come together and find something. This was the 70s.
讲到70年代那个计划，当时其实就是要去找寻很多不同的创作者，那我们是要广为去合作的去寻求合作，不是只是靠我们自己，所以走出去这样子的感觉。
And so the difference to this project is that we haven't been so desperate here. Like Goethe Institute funded us, we could go all over the world. It was not like, we have to find an idea, but yes, okay, let's do it.
所以当时70年代其实比较迫切，因为我们需要找到这些创作者的人。可是现在这个计划是有各个学院的赞助，所以我们没有那么急迫，而我们可以去慢慢的欢迎各界的创作者来加入到这个计划。
But I could tell more about this kind of utopian ideas to have an image library. There's another entire project like workers living in the factory, the expression of hands, all these films who work with archives. This is part of an utopian project to have kind of encyclopedia of images like you have in dictionaries for words. Yes, it has something to do with it. It's not exactly it, but this is a third thing between what ought to be done. This is also this kind of utopia of having a visual encyclopedia.
所以在这计划之间呢，或者他们也许有一个共通性吧，就是说我们有点乌托邦式的想要创造一个影像资料库，里面像是一个百科全书，有各种不同的情境都可以找得到，都可以综合的陈列在里面。
But maybe another time this goes too far.
当然没有办法一步到位的完成。
So this is an example. It was shot actually not in Cairo but Alexandria. We made a tour through Alexandria. This is not so special camera-wise, very normal.
这一部片呢，其实不是在埃及开罗拍的，是在附近的 Alexandria 伊珊卓这个地方，有过去那边。那以镜头操作来说，其实没有太特别，但它就是一个一般的操作。
But I like it as an example of the relation of the worker's body and machines, of course.
我很喜欢这个作品里面的是看到这个劳动者他的身体跟这个机器之间的关联性。
And because if you think of labor in a single shot, you think of labor as always like hard bodily labor, but nowadays labor is to hang around and to wait for a machine to finish something.
当我们讲单镜头下的劳动者，我们想象的劳动是身体的劳动，可是我们却看到这个劳动者他是在等待机器完成劳动，所以他的劳动其实是等待跟机器的合作关系。
So that would be another possible entry to this archive to look about the relation of body and machine. You have in all the countries in different ways, and it's interesting.
这又会是另外一种切入点，你可以看说变成是人跟机器之间的关联，谁在进行劳动？我们可以用这个角度来看这个计划。那在世界各地其实也都有这样子的情况可以去观察。
And of course also how labor changes into that you have less and less physical labor, and how can you capture intellectual labor, for example, immaterial labor. It's very interesting, and it shows our project was all the time about both things, about how to make good films and to find out about labor situations.
所以说，现在的劳动不一定是身体的劳动，可能是智能的劳动。那是不是就给我们一个问题？我们要怎么去捕捉下智能的劳动这样子的画面？那我们同时要捕捉到有形的劳动跟无形的劳动。此外，这个计划也要让我们牵涉到考虑到影片的拍起来跟拍不成这件事情。所以这都是同时我们要考量在这个计划里面的元素。
Short break.
休息一下。
More questions.
还是有人有。
我想问一个问题，就是关于那个，就是不管是早期或现在这个所谓资料库或图书馆展现制，就是我很好奇，就是因为在那个海报里面提到这个百科全书式的一个想象，那我们知道说百科全书最原始的状态就是一个字典的状态，可能是 A 到 Z 或什么的这样子。那我是想问一个问题，就是不知道你们怎么去想象任何这种资料库建制的计划里面的那个所谓的索引的方式，就是 index 的那个状态。那因为比方说像这个，好像是不是就是用程式来做分类？那有没有其他，就是用这个方式分类的考量是什么？那还是有没有过去有用其他的索引方式来建立这个百科全书？
Thank you for this question. It's very complicated.
谢谢这个提问很复杂。
We once, I mean, it's already 10 years ago, we organized a whole conference together. We called it Suchbilder, which is search images.
我们10年前办过一个会议，是搜索叫 Suchbilder， 就是搜索影像的意思。
And there we confronted people from the cultural field, like media professors, with Informatica, which is the mathematicians who work with algorithms. What's the English word? Not Informatica. Yes, number figures engineers.
因为当时我们就找来了影像的这些教授学者，还有工程师，让他们来去对谈跟交流。
And we wanted to find out, can we talk with each other, like people from social science and these mathematicians? And we wanted to talk about ways, how can you address an image, not with words, but maybe with algorithms or maybe with pattern recognition. And exactly your question, but it was really, really difficult because the dialogue with the mathematicians was, they did not understand us and we couldn't understand them.
当时这个实验呢，可以说是让我们社会科学的人跟数学家去对谈，想试试看有这个可能性，而且也想找找看说有没有办法不一定要用文字，用其他的方式来定向或者是指标一些影像，也就是你刚刚提到这个索引的方式。可是我们发现这两组人之间的沟通有些困难，因为他们没办法了解彼此想要什么。
And then it turned out that this is mostly a problem with image and words, because still you always address images with words. It's like it's not even cities, it's city names, it's letters. So how can you deal with images that they are not the slaves of letters? Because it's a power relation.
最终还是回归到的问题是影像跟文字的问题，因为我们这边看到其实不是城市，是城市名称，但是你看到的是字母。那这中间其实有一个权利关系，就是我们能不能脱离说，不要让这些文字或字母来主宰影像，我们是从这个字母连接进到影像，有没有办法用别的索引方式来指涉这些影像？
And then the last thing we insisted kind of is the comparison you made with dictionaries, where you have an A to Z and you can look up words. I would love dictionaries, yet the most strange ones, also very unusual ones, dictionaries, like tons of them.
你刚刚提到的一个比喻就是字典嘛，有 A 到 Z 上的索引。我觉得那个索引的设计，其实我觉得字典 A 到 Z 是一个很莫名的一个索引设计。
So in them you are in the medium of language and you have a book, the format of a book, where you can look something up. How to do this now within the medium of images or moving images? It should not go back to the book. So you have to make image analysis within the medium of the moving image. And this was the idea, for example, of the film of Hollywood's essay film Workers Leaving the Factory, where we looked in film history for all the motives were workers leaving the factory, like the factory gate, through film history, and then of course he has a commentary, so it's again language, but at least he did not write a text or made a book about the motifs, but he made a film. So this was, at the end of the day, his answer. And it was not really solved because the essayistic kind of commentary is very much dominating the images, I guess.
我们刚刚讲到现在都是动态影像，可是字典那个索引其实是纸本的一种索引逻辑，所以为什么我们还要有这样的影像去回归到纸本的翻找逻辑里面呢？这是很奇特的一件事情。我觉得动态影像应该是要用动态的方式来建立这个索引跟连接。像是航空它的那个有一个像影像资料库，就是用动态的索引的形式，就是用那个离开工厂的工人来做一个影像的索引设计。那当然这个问题，我想那是它的一种解答方式。那但刚刚这个索引的问题其实还没有真的解决，因为它其实还是有用到很多的文字，中间还是有一些文字主宰影像的关系在，这都可以再讨论。
那有没有要赶快提一下问题？如果也可以休息一下，然后再回来。
我想再追问，就是，因为在 MOCA 里面的那个平行，它是对我来讲好像就相对没有索引，因为它就是1、2、3、4。但是好像里面因为它是论文电影的方式，所以。好像它有一个推论的关系，那这件事情就的确发生在这些影片的查找那个细节的方法上。那我有点好奇是说，这个平行这个就1、2、3、4的想法，它是一个系列还是一个提 只是提供一个关于平行的一些这样子的暗示，然后让观众自己去想那个是什么意思这样。
I think parallel doesn't have so much to do with this problematic of indexality in the index. It's a series of 4. He started with 1, and then he thought that's not enough, let's do another one. And another one. So it's not like mathematical thinking of it has to be 4 and chapters, and not at all.
平行这个作品比较没有那么多数字或指引索引的那个思考，就是一个系列，它最后四幕嘛，那我们一个系列拍完就不够，就拿来第二个就。
I think this is more. This was the research of how the strange computer-animated image worlds look like and what they can do and where they fail, and it was more an examination of this strange type of images. It's an image regime actually, an important one nowadays.
那我们在探讨的其实是动画或电脑制作影像的一个局限性，或者说它的能力到哪里，哪些地方会失败。那也可以说它是一种影像的政权，是 image regime 这样子的探索。
So in your original idea, the payroll is finished already, or perhaps if current alive, he will continue, or?
I think 4 is kind of enough. You wouldn't have made a 5th one, but maybe the whole problematic would have shifted to a new project where, you know.
老师刚刚问平行这个作品是完成了吗？如果后面再试，就继续拍。看起来是说4个，应该4部差不多了。但可能继续探索的话，会转向另外一个角度，也许会有新的计划开始。
Maybe the next project would have been something with virtual worlds and 3D printers and stuff.
如果下一个计划也许是关于讲 VR 和虚拟世界，或者是3D 列印等等不一样的探索。
好，那我们可能就先有一个短暂的休息哈，差不多OK， 那差不多10分钟好吧？差不多10分钟，然后我们先呼吸了空气，对不对？然后所以脑子应该有在更清楚一点哦。那个我们在开始下半场的时候，我想说各位有没有什么样的提问？哦，是不是我们现在可以，就是说，如果在上半场你有一些想法或者一些提问，你现在其实可以提出来。哦，要不然等他再继续报告的时候，你可能又会产生新的问题，然后到最后就放弃提问。哦。所以我想说，你在上半场如果有想到一些想法的时候，其实就可以先提出来。哦，有没有？
我问一个问题，就是我想从刚刚那个，我想问一个刚刚从片头那个功能离开工厂那个影片开始问，就是因为我蛮好奇是说在 Aoki 早期的片子，像是那个 Still Life 或是 An Image， 前者是拍那个广告图像的生产，那后者是拍那个 Playboy 的 model 的封面拍摄过程。那好像看了这个计划的影片，我会觉得好像是否有一个转向，就是说他以前他比较关注的是说影像一个生产就是 produce 的过程，那好像在这个计划里面。这些影像表达的好像比较关注在劳动本身，就是一个身体本身的东西。好像说那个以前比较关注劳动的结构，在这边好像被简化成一个很纯粹的身体活动。那我想问说，是不是有这个转变存在？
I wouldn't make the distinction between past. I don't see it like there is a kind of development that he did something earlier and then changed to this.
我的 看法是不会觉得这是一个发展史，就是说不会看成说它本来是那个样子，然后后来做了一个转折到现在的情况。
I would more see it as some parallel universe.
比较像是平行宇宙的概念。
And in the center is always the question of the image. But then it's a question of how to approach the question of the image. We can approach it from how is it being produced.
核心都还是影像，只是用不同的方式。看你是要探究影像的成型跟生成，或者是不同的面向。
Or the question of what kind of images do we have and how do we use them.
也可以探究的是，我们有哪些的影像，我们怎么使用这些影像。
And then the question historically, like what was the leading image? Because I think in every epoch we are living in, there is a kind of, this is meant by image regime, that you have a leading image.
这个也是我们回头看到，以历史来看的话，历史的影像上，在不同的年代它有一个代表的影像，就是 leading image， 这也是一个 image regime 这个影像政体里面不同年代有代表性的影像。
But this is a strange thing nowadays, also as parallel. I think we nowadays believe more in the animated, computer-generated image. We don't believe in an analog image anymore. We don't trust it anymore.
那我们现在以像是平行这个作品里面，我们看到我们现在好像比较相信数位动画的数位影像，甚至更胜于类比，这是我觉得现在这个时代的情况。
So if you, for example, relate this to warfare, it started in the 18th century. We had oil paintings of battlefields, you know.
如果我们看战争这件事情的话
18th century.
我们在18世纪的时候，当时是17、18世纪，当时是有油画、绘画，画的是战争的情况。
This was the only medium they had, so this was the leading image. For example, these battlefield oil paintings, and then photography was invented.
那当时唯一的媒材就是绘画，所以当时主要的 leading image 就是主要的影像都是战争跟战场的事情。那到后来就有了摄影的技术发明。
And this was, of course, a super surprising invention that you could have this indexical relationship to reality with a photograph. Photograph was proof. Like here is a photograph, it's proof. So then photography was the leading image.
那在当时其实是一个很震撼的技术，因为你在影像跟现实之间有一个缩影的关系的，你可以把现实捕捉下来当做一个证据，是照片呈现。所以这中间当时的照片或者是摄影这件事情变成主要的影像。
Then the photographs learned to run, like then you had the moving image, and of course it shifted that you could prove something, even by having a sequence showing you something in movement. So film was the leading image.
后来静态影像会跑的，所以会动以后，我们就开始有动态的影像。那后来电影也就应运而生，这样子的变成主要的影像。
And then with the Industrial Revolution, now it gets complicated because now we have so many images. We have the surveillance image.
那我们现在有这么多不同的影像，我们现在甚至有监视器的监视化的影像。
We have the computer-generated animation image. We have all this pixelation. Like it's not even one image. It's like we have this whole world of pixels that become images and dissolve.
我们现在有电脑的动画、CG 的合成的影像动画等等，还有各种生活当中的这些像素，它都可以经过再造跟合成，然后再解除。
So compared to this, like these computer game images from parallel are old-fashioned.
Old-fashioned. 所以以这个来对比的话，那个看到就平行这个作品里面的这些电玩的影像，其实是很古老或者古早的一种概念。
And therefore, Arun had this funny idea to treat these images as if he's an art historian, to look how was fire depicted and how water and so on.
所以他就觉得这个概念、这个构想很有趣吧，就像当做一种影像历史学家去探究这个电玩或者这个影像它里面的影像史是什么。
like an art historian who deals with a history that is only 30 years old or so.
他是在一个历史学家，但他只要研究30年的历史。
So the long answer for your question, I don't think that there's a development, but he tried to cover it all from the beginning, from the early 60s to now, and he did it in different ways, and it's always about the image and always about labor and work.
所以它不是一个有迹可循的一个发展，但是从60年代到现在的，它都在探究不同的方式，都是聚焦在影像跟劳动这件事情上。
我想请问 Ehmann 一个问题啊，那这个问题是一个观察，就是你提到卢米埃的那个纪录片，那是工厂的外面，那您的计划是进入到工厂里面，那还有一个观察就是好像坚持的一个记录的概念。然后我想问的问题是，为什么劳动者不是透过蒙太奇来呈现它，而必须是一个 single shot？ 那您对蒙太奇是不是有疑虑？好，这是我的问题。
You know the Godard saying, Montage, meine schöne Sorge, Montage, my beautiful, sweet problem, or
甜蜜的worry 的
worry, Montage, my sweet worry.
高达说过一句话，说蒙太奇是一个甜蜜的担忧吧，应该这样讲。
No, that montage is the most wonderful thing and the most interesting thing, also theoretically. This project is not against montage or anything. This has practical reasons, like if you want to work with many people and you want to have an outcome, it's good to do it like this, because if you would start with montage, you cannot work with 20 people in 2 weeks. That's not possible.
不过其实这个计划并没有要反对或者是跟他对抗蒙太奇，只是因为我们要设定一个格式，那就才能够在2个礼拜内跟比如说20位创作者共同合作，才有这样的规定在这里。
But actually, my colleague with whom I continue this project, it's a young German filmmaker. Right now we have the project, we do make a montage of all these films, and we want to offer them to film festivals, like that you have a portrait of a city made out of labor in single shot films, like Bangalore, Marseille, it's a lot of work, but it's great.
当然，我现在其实跟另外一位创作者在共同合作一个新的计划。那个计划我们就是用蒙太奇的方式去把很多东西拼接在一起。那是希望之后能够做成往影展的方向去走，或者做影像的创作。那就是把这些东西，那当然要做很多的努力才能把它完成。
And the first part of your question or comment that Harun started by with workers leaving the factory, that they are leaving, and now we go back. Yes. Do you know the film Workers Leaving the Factory by Harun? You don't.
你知道韩凤他有一个作品就是离开工厂的工人，对，所以他一开始您刚刚的那个观察是对的，就是说我们一开始看到卢米埃那个是离开工厂的确是进到工厂。不过韩凤他有一个影片作品，其实就也叫这个名字。
In this film, Workers Leaving the Factory, Harun's main observation, like the first thing he states, is that cinema from the beginning on was avoiding the factory, because cinema is mostly about pleasure, about sex, drugs, rock and roll. It's never about work.
他在那个作品里面开宗明义就有说到，其实电影影视这件事情其实本身就是反工厂或离开工厂的，因为影视的东西其实里面都是性啊、药啊，或者是摇滚啊，就是这些比较玩乐的娱乐的东西，而不是劳动。
Especially in fiction films, imagine there is a scene, a family sits at the table, they eat, then you have montage, you have cut, and then walk through the park.
在那个作品里面有一部分是你看到有一家人正在用餐，然后接下来出现了拼接的模判器，然后就看到他们就走出这个画面，然后走到了一个公园去。
Nobody ever cleans the table or cleans what they use. If it is in the image, then symbolically, just like the mother, most of all, takes one and then cuts it. You never see the cleaning, for example, the real-time cleaning in a film.
那在片子里面其实就剪掉了，就是没有呈现出清理这个残余的餐桌这样子的画面，因为那个是劳动。那你最多可能就只看到妈妈她大部分都是母亲在清理，她清理的一个画面马上就剪掉了。
So this relation of cinema's unlust to deal with work and to showing work we or our own, but then also we try to turn around.
那所以我们本来在以前讲的电影里面是逃避劳动和躲避劳动这件事情，但我们现在想要逆转这件事情，而去凝视劳动本身。
But the most powerful motive in cinema actually is when workers leaving the factory, because it's almost like a gesture of liberation. It's because the factory stands for slavery or for terrible work. So the moment they leave, it's like the other film we did about prison images. The moment a prisoner leaves prison, it's a very strong image, with like the three things person only have in the case of prisons, and then he feels the air and the building, the prison door is behind him.
但是刚刚那个影像其实离开工厂的工人有一个很强的一种象征性，它是逃避或离开了这个制约，或者是糟的工作环境，是奔向自由的一个象征。那像胡他另外一个作品是拍有跟监狱有关的影像，他也有拍到一个地方是大家离开监狱的时候带着自己的东西奔向自由，那我就把监狱的门甩在自己的后头，都是一种这样子的对比的象征。
So it's almost the dream. Can we see the image of liberation by collecting all of the scenes where prisoners go out of prison or workers go out of the factory? By the way, this motive workers leaving the factory, we don't find nowadays really anymore, because we have nowadays shift work, and then we don't have so many factories anymore, and we don't have workers as a physical mass that is also dangerous, right? So this is now almost disappeared. So we have this, if we look at this image, we have this kind of liberation moment, but also the kind of solidarity moment, like there is a body of the workers' body, like a multiple workers' body you don't find nowadays anymore.
像现在这样子的创作元素也比较难找到，就是一群工人这么明确的是一个工班就是下班的样子，因为现在其实大家轮班是分散的，我们很难找到一个工人的群体，他们具体的存在，而且一起很有象征性的这样离开工厂，所以现在的劳动情况也跟以前都不太一样，有这样时代上的变化。
Such an interesting question. Your question was a universal thing. I think cinema language itself is kind of has a universality, but then of course we came across a lot of local works and local traditions. For example, I show you something from Hanoi. I don't know where else we would have found such a scene. So, on the other hand, we were not so interested to find everything the same. Now, the differences are much more interesting, and so we were always happy when we could find. We always ask, is this typical for the city? Whatever that means, but we always wanted to see something that's really typical. Like I would also ask you here, Taipei, what is really typical, even if it's a problem, like something that's ambivalent. And sorry, I talk too much.
刚刚同学提到的这个问题真的非常有趣哦，就是电影语言的普适性这件事情，那的确是非常普适，但也很好玩的是，我们在各个在地的确是有看到很在地的特色的东西。那我们总是觉得多样性是比重复来的有趣哦，比单一来的有趣。比如说在河内，我们有拍到一些很当地的东西，那我们就会去问创作者说，这个东西它是偶发事件吗？还是它是很常见的常态？比如说我来到台北，我会想知道台北有什么是常态性的，就是它常是发生的这些日常的东西。就算它是大家心中的一个问题也好，可是它如果是一个常态，我也会非常好奇，想要去看，想要去了解。
What is so fascinating here, it's again something with a camera, like one pen can reveal the whole future of this little girl.
我觉得这个影像有趣的是，我看到镜头只要一次的平面的转移跟摆动，就可以看到从这个小孩的现在，好像看到他的未来呈现的样子。
Because it's obvious you can hear from the sound like the the animals. No, it's ducks and the ones who chicken. The ones who produce eggs.
Yeah, chicken. 所以他们在背景你会听到这些鸡鸭的声音和发酵。
So it's clear this is countryside. It's not in the middle of Hanoi, and I guess when not a nature catastrophe or something happens, this girl will make hats like her bigger sister, like the mother, like the grandmother. And this is revealed in one shot. It's amazing.
所以显然是在一个乡下的地方，不是河内市中心嘛，听到这个乡间的声音。那看到他的妈妈也在编草帽，他的祖母也在编草帽。那如果没有发生什么意外的话，他的将来可能是这个样子。
And we were also so interested because they have to look what they are doing. They do it that for decades, I guess, but they talk a lot. And then we asked the filmmaker, couldn't you make a transcript? What are they talking? Then he said, no, they talk such a heavy dialect, I don't understand.
所以你看到他们这些操作跟劳动已经非常日常到他不用去看自己在做什么，就可以一边聊天一边做这些事情。那我们非常好奇他们谈天的内容，所以就请这个创作者也做个字幕。结果创作者说他们的口音，乡下的口音乡音太重，所以创作者都没办法听懂，没办法做出字幕来。
那我想说，延续刚刚，就是说艺术家提出的问题哦，就是关于 universal 跟所谓的 local 或 regional 的语言。那其实我们现在在台湾其实会碰到一个现象，这个现象就是说，其实现在有越来越多的年轻人其实是对于电影的认识。它其实是没有一个档案库的概念的，也就是甚至没有电影史。也就是说，其实我们在大部分的，也就是说年轻的创作者，其实他可能没有所谓对以前的电影语言的一种认识。然后，因为他们现在就是说，其实现在可以非常便利的拿起机器，然后就开始用机器去寻找他们的经验，所以其实这里面就会就是说，我在想，其实这是一个比较开放性的问题，就是说，像对你来讲，就是说今天，比如说在德国的年轻人，或你在其他地方遇到的年轻人，就是说他们还会需要理解语言这件事情吗？就是影像语言这件事。可是事实上，我觉得就是说，影像语言对于你跟Howard来讲，其实都是非常重要的一个基础。那如何来看今天这个新的一个世界的状态？
Maybe you are asking the wrong one because we're so conservative.
这个问题问我们这么保守的人，我确定是不是适合我们回答。
I mean, Harun was teaching film all his life, and he did it in a very special way. It was because he loved film so much and found it so important. Like, he did not teach film like others. They have a theory, then they show a film and say, he approved for film. But he really wanted to understand film and go really immersed into it, go like shot by shot. He made analysis at the editing table, 16mm, analyzing shot by shot. Can you imagine?
因为他终身其实都在教电影，他也非常爱电影。 他就是会去解析这些影像，他甚至会把这个16mm的片拿出来，每一个镜头都做解析跟分析，去这么仔细去分拆这些影像的语言跟它内部的结构跟内涵。
So he would have hated the idea that knowledge about cinema history vanishes and is not needed anymore. He would be sad about it, no way.
所以如果说电影的语言或影像语言就这样消失，或这个历史不重要，对他来说这个概念是非常忧伤。
I'm not 100% sure. I think it always helps to have knowledge and to know about history, of course. This is basically it. If you make an image nowadays, you cannot pretend or think that this is something new. No, it has a very long history. And it's always good to know about history.
不敢100%保证，但我想懂一些历史或者是它过往的脉络，应该都是好的，会有帮助的。因为你现在就算拍摄一个你觉得是新的东西，它也不可能是全新的，而是它背后有一个脉络跟它的历史科学。
But from a very practical angle, I also experienced something strange. Like, if you are interested in film history and if you get really nerdishly into it, like, let's say you admire the work by Jean-Marie Straub, then really...
就是法国的2位导演单捏鱼类的那个手稿。
that I experienced something very ambivalent, like if young people do love cinema history and, for example, enter this French cineast's world, because they...
对，我觉得很有趣的就是，有一些人他，比如说他过去对影像历史并没有太特别的研究，可是他很喜欢去影像创作，他很自然的他也会去研究到或者是接触到刚刚讲到的这2位大导演他们的作品或者是他们的一些事迹。
This can also give you a block, like for example these French avant-garde, they are so strict and there are so many things that would never do, no violence in the image, no fumbling around with the camera. You know, there's some. It is so extreme that there are young filmmakers who fail to make any film because they know too much.
像这2个刚刚讲到导演，他们其实是有很严格的一些原则在，就是他不会去摆动或者乱玩镜头。那可是也有一些年轻人，他们变成说，因为懂得太多，知道太多历史，可能他变成一种限制，让他没办法自由自在去创作。
So this is the flip side. You can almost like lose your innocence if you know too much. It can create a problem also in creative production.
如果懂太多，也有可能会是一个限制或者一个问题，让你没办法自由自在去挥洒。
For example, with our project, when we have been in Cairo, it was exactly the time when the revolution was on.
那像我们在开罗埃及的时候，我们在拍的时候，刚好那个时候是革命刚开始的时候。
So we sat together and tried to develop ideas, and then they were so transfixed by the revolution, and they said, "How can we put like content in 2 minutes? It's not possible." And some of them ended up doing nothing.
所以当时很多创作者都被卡在这个革命这个主题里面，他就想说，我怎么可能用2分钟呈现这么复杂的主题？就有一些人最后什么都没有拍出来。
So my too long answer is probably that there is no universal answer to this question. Sometimes it's even personal.
所以回答你这个问题，有时候它不一定有一个普世的东西，有时候它是一种很个人、很内心的事情。
But me privately, I would always come with film classics. I would always say, "Please look."
我个人来说，的确还是会去推崇，我要大家应该要看一些影视的经典，要去做一些研究。
Even if it's black and white.
就算是黑白片也是。
我想要请问一个有关于cliché的问题，也就是说，这个计划似乎激起了一个非常激进的问题，就是关于拍摄影像跟被拍摄的劳动2者之间的cliché的问题，似乎在这个计划当中被激起，也就是包括我们如何看待劳动，谁的劳动被拍摄，以及哪些人有劳动但是难以被呈现，例如政客的劳动，例如银行家的劳动。那么在这个听你演讲这个过程当中，关于劳动还有关于怎么解读跟处理劳动影像的问题，也慢慢的在我们每个人的心中慢慢成型。那么在这个过程当中，也隐隐约约的可以感受到你提到了一些关于影像语言的 的使用跟如何分析影像的这些语言，似乎也汇聚了某一种我们接近影像的一种cliché。那这种我们使用影像，甚至解读影像，甚至您在世界各地举办的工作坊，试图展示这些影像的一些过程，这些cliché也都会从台面下浮上来。那所以也想要请问您，怎么思考已经这么多年来同一个计划的执行过程当中，哪一些cliché可能是比较严重的问题？然后这个问题在世界各地的，你跟世界各地的人们相遇的时候，有没有什么您有印象的发言，或是有印象的想法是完全是 anti-cliché， 也就是说是一个崭新的想法。谢谢。
Thank you. Let me start like this. You could think that we try to represent an image of the city with each, because we have like up to 50 films in the end. They could represent an image, but of course they never do.
有的人也许可以把我们的这个计划看成说，在做这些图像脸谱，那最后来呈现一个城市。可是我们最后其实要呈现不是这样子的方式。
So on the one hand, we shouldn't even think of it in representative terms because it would never work. But on the other hand, we can also not ignore this question. So it's a kind of, we have to play with it between what is cliché, what is unexpected. You cannot ignore this problem, so it's good that you talk about it.
的确会有这个问题，我们没办法忽视你听到这个 cliché 的问题。不过我们后来就是说不会用代表这件事情来看我们这些影像，因为没有办法用影像来做代表。我们比较希望看到的是说，在这些计划的过程当中，哪些东西会被捕捉到，哪些东西被呈现得出来。不过当然也是不可避免会有这个 cliché 的问题。
In terms of representation, it's a difficult concept, but we have to deal with it. For example, we wanted different kinds of labor be represented in each city, that it's not so one-sided. This would be my first answer to your question. The cliché of labor worldwide is that it's something on the street and something very accessible, because that's what students first, or participants first do. They go to neighborhoods where there's a lot of labor on the streets, and this creates, of course, a dramatically wrong image.
回应到您刚刚的第一个问题，我们讲到 representation 代表这件事情一直是一个很难的问题。我们就是希望能够尽量多样，尽可能多元的去呈现。像我们探讨到劳动这件事情的时候，一开始讲到劳动，我们这些创作者、参与者，他们第一个直觉想到的就是街上看到的叫体力劳动的劳动者，他们就会去呈现这些东西。可是这不是全貌，我们能够做的就是尽量在城市里面去找到尽可能多样貌的劳动情况，来呈现在我们的计划当中。
I show you one film that represents it for me. I wouldn't call it cliché, but it's this kind of, it's a seduction. It's like in India, if you have so many street life and it's so colorful, of course you want to go there and live there, even when you are from there, not as a tourist, it's the Indian participants themselves. They were drawn to this street market kind of richness.
我想放一个片给大家看，这是在印度的一个场景、一个地方。我不会说它是一种有代表性的东西，我甚至会说它是对影像创作者的一个色诱，因为它实在是太缤纷了。就算你是当地人，你也会想要去捕捉这个地方的样貌，把它呈现出来。
me, this is almost a really dramatic film.
对我来说，甚至有很有剧情片的感觉，那有情节在。
On the one hand, it's absolutely present that you want to document this old man working hard and then the wedding society passes by.
看起来好像就是你本来要捕捉这个辛苦劳动的这位先生，就后来有一个婚礼团队或者是什么游行团队经过的。
So this poor guy with this enormous thing he carries was stopped by the filmmakers. He couldn't really because they were standing there. Then the wedding comes, and then the filmmakers still were with him, and they told us when he's shouting, he shouts, "Go away! I have to be quicker."
所以当时现场情况，其实创作者要拍这一位先生，结果反而是挡住了他的去路，因为旁边的队伍突然经过了，那拍摄者反而挡在这位劳动者要往前进的路上。所以刚刚听到他在讲话的声音，其实是叫这个拍摄者赶快走开。
So in terms of cliches, we could talk on this little example about 3 things. It's the first work is this hard work, labor, poor old man, and he looks like he could crash every minute.
所以你要讲到 cliche 陈腔滥调这件事情，我们可以拿这个片来讨论哦。就是说，我们讲到劳动，的确也可以看到这个是很传统观念里面，或者说 cliche 角度上的一个劳动者，他很辛苦，他的街头比较弱势，他可能随时会崩溃。
And then we could talk about the moral dilemma between the somebody who wants to make a film and the one who is being filmed, if it's abusive or it's a long discussion one could have about this.
我们也可以很长的去探讨说这个拍摄者跟被摄者之间权力关系的这种两难，就是有人想要拍片，可是他却挡住了这个劳动者的路，这件事情有没有一个权力的关系，或者是互相干涉，这是一种两难。
So you can see that the interesting thing is with a project like this that you have all these things there. Like you can use it as a toolbox to discuss problems around cultural production, representation, power structures, everything is somehow there. If you want, you could.
所以这个计划可以说它变成了一个资料库。也是一个工具箱，变成说你要什么，它全部包在里面，都呈现在一起。那如果你要讨论文化代表性这件事情，也可以要讲权力结构、权力关系，也都可以有相关的素材可以拿出来，里面很有的探讨。
但是我直接说，那个。因为资料库好像是一个可以一直增加东西的东西嘛，对。那我想请问他是怎么去思考这个终止，就是结束这件事情？就是在16个城市之后，有可能再继续做嘛？然后这个资料这个网站有没有消失？有没有可能有一天消失？
It's kind of funny what happened. Exactly this question was Harun and I were asked when we presented the project in Venice at the Venice Biennale. And then we said, it was an interview that was printed somewhere. We said, no, we wish this project should continue.
很有趣的是，我们在威尼斯双年展有被问到一个类似的问题，那我们的答案是我们希望这个计划可以一直继续下去。
But we wish that this project could continue and others will do it. It doesn't have to be us, but so others would be fantastic if others do it.
但是不一定要是由我们来执行，可以是由其他人来继续这个计划。
Then one day, like 2 years ago, I got a phone call and from a young filmmaker, and she said she read the interview and she feels like we would talk to her.
所以我们大概在2年前，我接到一个电话，就是一个艺术家创作者，他说他看到我们的这个计划，好像我们在跟他说话。
So then she lives in Berlin like I do. Then I said, she said, I feel like I should continue. And then I said, okay, then come for a coffee. We met for a coffee and now we do it together.
他也住柏林，我也住柏林，那他就觉得他好像应该要继续这个计划，我就说好啊，那我们来喝咖啡聊聊。就现在我们就一起继续这个计划。
And it's so wonderful to continue this in another constellation. It was with Harun, of course, something different, and I couldn't continue because I thought this is impossible without Harun. But now with two women and with a little distance, it's fantastic.
所以我本来以为没有阿布姆是没有办法继续这个计划，可是现在变成，当然没有他是有差异在，可是现在变成我们2位女性的创作者，那有了这样不一样的组合之后，还是竟然可以继续这样的计划是可以延续的。
But I do it also with another friend from the US, so I try to open it up. And I don't have to do it necessarily, but right now I like still. One day I will say no, probably, but right now I like to continue.
那当然有不同的人问我，我可能当下还是会现在觉得还不错，还是想继续。可是也许以后有一天我也会觉得这个计划应该要终止，也不一定。
And I hope that somebody will take care of the homepage. Would be a pity if it disappeared, but I take care of it. I also pay a bit for it. I don't know, maybe I should give it to the Goethe and they should keep it. I have to think about it. Of course, I cannot do this all my life, probably. Maybe yes.
但如果这个资料或这个网页不继续的话，我觉得很可惜。我希望它可以延续。那现在我在维护这个网页，那我们也要付一点的费用来维系。可是也许以后这个可能可以转给歌德学院或者是其他任何单位，那都还可以再思考。
那就是说，其实在今天在更早的一个在跟安琪儿聊天的那个过程里面，其实也提到了一个关键字就是说他也用到了一个我们之前其实在工作坊里面讨论到的一个关键字，就是 unlearning。那我在想就是说，其实就是说在安铁的一个呈现里面跟报告里面，其实我们会知道，就是说其实阅读影像的能力其实是非常重要的因为只有具有这种阅读影像的能力，然后在这个阅读里面，其实你会发现一个影像其实它远不是就是一个平面而已，其实它是一个非常立体，而且甚至延伸到整个环境的一个媒介。那所以我在想，就是说，这也是我们进行这一系列的论坛，其实我觉得很重要的一件事情，就是也希望能够就是说让更多的同学其实能够感受到这样的一种立体性。那另外我在想，就是说，在结束之前，就问安铁一个问题，因为其实安铁他自己也是一个独立的 filmmaker 跟独立的艺术家。那我会想问，就是说，就是说你接下来有什么样的计划在进行？那就是说也让各位同学或我们其实可以持续的关注。
This is a bit of a problem that I hardly find time for my own projects because I work so much. Like we have here as an example also these publications. They are beautiful. They have all these colors, different colors, and this, so you can really nicely archive them. And this is done by the Harun Farocki Institute. And this is not me, but there are other people that, of course, they work very closely together with me.
有一个问题就是我自己没什么时间忙自己的计划，因为有很多的计划
spent time with them on projects also. And then we also have a Harun residency. It's now, we have the third now. It's this guy from Egypt who is such a cineast. And with them I also develop projects where, so I don't have individual projects right now because I work so much. And then with this project, and then my curatorial projects, like next week I go to Seoul to open the exhibition. This is all so much that I wish I could have just a project for myself, nothing with Harun. It will happen, but right now it's impossible.
目前不太可能有时间做我自己的计划，那都是跟孩子有关，尤其是像他的住所，那还有跟埃及的艺术家在合作。那像我接下来下个礼拜要去Seoul，也都是相关的一些计划，我们有一个算是巡回吧，或者说还是在进行当中，所以还没有时间处理自己的计划，希望有一天有机会。
刚刚就是说，刚刚Antje提到的，就是说，其实，在首尔他们已经讨论2年了，然后在首尔会有一个Harun Farokhi的很大的回顾展。那就是说，因为首尔也不远所以说其实如果大家有机会，其实也可以去参加，而且就是说，他也就是说我们在聊天当中也知道了，其实他会邀请就是说研究Harun Farokhi非常重要的理论人跟学者，其实参与到那一个展览的一个活动，然后还有一个就是说，可能对我来讲非常有意义的，其实就是黑蒙北路也会去，所以我觉得大家可以关注这样的一个展览的讯息。那我们今天可能就先到这里，然后我们就大家一起谢谢一下。